I just attended WITS Summit 2026 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. WITS is the largest women's travel creator conference in the world, and I learned so much. In this video, I'm breaking down everything I learned from this weekend, from navigating the media marketplace where you can network with tourism boards and brands, to everything I learned from the panels and breakout sessions. Hello there, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Dominique. I'm a native New Yorker who absolutely loves to travel, and I'm bringing you along with me as I explore mostly New York City as well as all of my travels abroad. But if you've been following this channel, then you probably know I aspire to be a full-time travel creator, and what better time to focus on making that dream a reality than when I'm unemployed. I actually won a scholarship to come to this conference, and this is my first ever travel conference. I've only ever networked at conferences within the capacity of my corporate 9-to-5 job, so this was a totally new experience for me, and I just want to share everything that I learned and the entire experience. So first of all, what is WITS? WITS stands for Women in Travel Summit. It's been running since 2014. It's put on by the company Wanderful. So if you've ever heard of She's Wanderful, it started as a brand by Beth Santos in the early 2000s, and it has grown into this large community of women travelers all across the globe. And what makes it so special is not just that you have an opportunity to network with fellow creators, there are also tourism boards and brands on site that you can network with to try to land partnerships. I actually first heard about Wanderful maybe about 2 years ago at the New York Travel and Adventure Show. I've gone to that show like 3 or 4 years in a row. That is a trade show where tourism boards and brands come to showcase their destination, and they're trying to lure consumers to come visit their destination. I would go to that trade show and grab their business cards and pocket it, knowing that I wanted to follow up and pitch them later. That wasn't exactly the proper venue to do that or to facilitate those conversations. So finally pivoting into coming to an actual travel conference that's actually meant for making those types of connections only made sense. The very first thing that I did was I looked on the conference website to see exactly which destination partners, tourism boards, and brands would be in attendance, and I made a short list of everyone that I would want to connect with. The great thing about this conference is also that they had a media marketplace matching system where either the tourism board or brand could reach out to you, or you could reach out to them, send them a quick note requesting a meeting, and if both parties agreed, then you would get a meeting. Those meetings took place before the conference started on Friday morning. I'm going to talk more about how exactly I navigated the media marketplace in a bit, but to stay on topic of how exactly to prepare before the conference, the other thing that I did was to make sure that I updated my media kit. I definitely think it's important to have your media kit and or portfolio updated on a regular basis, and it just helps facilitate the conversations with these partners that you're trying to network with. One thing that I didn't do that I probably should have was spent more time on my 60-second pitch. You have a very small window of time to capture their attention and convey what you need to convey to make them feel like you would be a great partner for them to work with on a press trip or a campaign in the future. So I definitely should have spent more time working on my 60-second pitch. So if you are coming to Wanderful, WITS, or any other travel conference in the future, definitely make sure that you spend time cultivating your narrative so that you're able to effectively just communicate and potentially land a brand deal. Another thing I didn't do was bring business cards or a printed version of my media kit. That was definitely, I think, a missed opportunity for me. One thing that I will do in the future, though, is actually invest in a dot card. It looks like a credit card, but it's actually a contact card where you can connect with someone and get all of their contact information just by tapping that card. So that's probably something I'm going to invest in for the future. I actually walked by another very large creator, and she had a folder and pulled out a copy of her media kit, and I was like, wow, that's so good. I wish I would have thought to do that. So that's something to consider as well. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the media marketplace. This is where you sit down one-on-one with brands and tourism boards to network and see if there's alignment and a possibility for you to work together in the future. You're not necessarily there to pitch, but you're there to start a conversation, so that way you're not reaching out to them cold and not getting any responses. So when you actually enter the conference and get your badge and all of that, you end up walking through the exhibitor hall. So what you end up seeing is a bunch of booths along one corridor. There were about 2 reps at every single table for every tourism board and brand that was in attendance. Friday morning was the media marketplace where they had the meetings scheduled in advance. I came into this with 3 meetings with Moon Guide, which is a guidebook brand, Visit Park City, and the Alliance for Downtown New York City. Now, in between those meetings, I stalked the tables of the other tourism boards that I wanted to chat with, and if I saw that someone didn't actually come over to their booth when the next session started, I just asked them, like, are you free right now? And I sat down and was able to land 3 more conversations with Explore Fairbanks, EF Ultimate Break, and So Nomad, which is a travel insurance company, and actually one of the sponsors of the conference. I feel like all of the conversations went well, especially for my first time networking in this space. I feel like I learned a lot from talking to the tourism boards and brands. They definitely were able to give feedback on like what to put in your pitch. All of them essentially said, like, you really need to be very specific on your pitch, and they all want you to approach them with a specific story. The best bit of advice that I got was from my meeting with the Downtown Alliance for New York City. I thought that me being a native New Yorker and someone who shares a lot of New York City content, that I was like a sure-in for working with them in the future. And I communicated that a lot of my content is itinerary based, and she essentially said, like, that's cool and all, but like, they're not really always going to respond to a pitch that is purely spend the day with me in downtown Manhattan based. Like, they want you to find the story and have a very narrow pitch, and that's what they're going to be responding to. If you're going to be highlighting a small business, talking about the free bus that they have downtown because not a lot of people know about it, those are the types of videos that they want to work with creators on, and not just a typical day in the life or spend the day with me, how to spend a day in video. They want you to have an actual story that you're trying to convey, and that was eye-opening to me, because I realized that for the entire time that I've been pitching for the last, I want to say, year, I haven't been getting that many responses, and it started to make sense because a lot of my pitches have been travel guide and itinerary based pitches for collaboration, and that's probably why I haven't gotten a lot of responses. So that was really helpful information to me. It kind of shocked me, so do with that what you will. I feel like the advice that I got from the Downtown Alliance contact was echoed a lot throughout the entire weekend, not only from the destination partners whenever they were involved in panels, but also like in some of the sessions, and I'll talk more about that later. But for example, when I met with Explore Fairbanks, I actually reached out to them when I came back from my trip to Lapland, Finland. And in my pitch, I remember saying, like, I just came back from Lapland, Finland. This content did very well on TikTok. And I thought it would be a great follow-up for me to partner with Explore Fairbanks, Alaska, because it's a lot, there are a lot of the same experiences there. And it's accessible to US citizens because you don't need a passport to go there. She seemed to remember my email, but she hadn't responded to me. And I started to realize, like, I should have had a better pitch. And we started to have a conversation, and she sort of said, like, I think maybe she interpreted my pitch email as me saying I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison of Fairbanks versus Alaska, which isn't what which wouldn't have been what I intended. But it kind of reinforced that you really need to spend time thinking about your actual pitch and the story that you want to tell for that particular destination, and not in comparison to another. So now I want to share everything that I learned from the sessions. There were, I believe, 3 sessions at any given moment throughout the day. So on Friday, after they kicked off the conference, there was 1 breakout session. On Saturday, there were 3 breakout sessions. And then today, Sunday, there were 2 breakout sessions. So the first breakout session that I went to on Friday was storytelling that sells, crafting travel videos that audiences and brands pay for, how to build authority, distribution, and longevity as a modern travel creator. She really talked about like how you need to have a narrative arc to your storytelling when you're making your shot list. And so usually what I've been doing in the past is like I film everything and then I figure out what to do with it later. But what I'm realizing is that it's important to go into your campaign or project or series knowing exactly, I've been spending a little bit of time working on shot lists lately. My trip to Belize was the first trip where I went into it knowing like my shot list and what I wanted to capture. But generally, for the most part, I usually just capture everything and figure out what to do with it later, which I end up with a lot more content that I need. So it's kind of inefficient. And what she said in that session was like, it's not necessarily the itinerary that people remember, it's the experience. Like everyone can have cinematic footage, but what is the purpose of the content that you're sharing? What's the story? And that, when she said everyone can have cinematic footage, that something clicked in my head and I was just like, that's so true. Everyone can have cinematic footage, but what are you doing with it? Like, what story are you telling? What are you conveying? Like, that was a major key for me. I feel like we've been hearing like storytelling is important. And what I realize is that I have been rushing myself to try to get content out as much as possible to really capitalize on my current time of unemployment and to just try to grow my channels as fast as possible. And it's really not sustainable to do that if you want to have quality content. And I feel like now I'm like, okay, you know what? The focus needs to be on quality and not quantity. And that's gonna be a long game, and I'm okay with that. So on the main stage, they had a session around speed versus substance, which kind of ties into what I was just saying. And it was just really impactful. Eileen Yvette talked about like how she might not post for 6 months, but she knows when she finally does post, it's the numbers are gonna go up because she's sharing quality content. And I loved that. All you hear these days is like, you have to post every day. And it's not sustainable and it leads to burnout. So it's just like, yes, it just reinforced for me, like focus on the quality and not the quantity. One of my favorite creators, Alexa Moore, had a talk here. I went to it. I was a little late because we had gone to lunch right before and there was a whole bunch of traffic in Chattanooga. So I'm very much annoyed about that. But her talk was called Strategic Brand Partnerships, Getting Rebooked, Not Replaced. And in her talk, she talked about why some creators continue to get rebooked by brands and tourism boards. And essentially what she shared was like, you have to view this as a business and approach it like a business. And small things like following up and sharing the metrics after you post and sharing ideas for a future campaign. Like these are all some of the reasons why she continues to get rebooked. If you go to her Linktree, she actually shared her slides that she presented with. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend heading over to her Linktree. I'll put it in the description, but those slides are chef's kiss. Another creator that I love, Sojourner. Sojourneys is her @ she also had a session called The Multi-Platform System, How Organized Creators Scale Content. And a lot of what she was talking about was so relevant because a lot of us are on all of the platforms all at once and it's hard to manage. But what I loved about her session is that she really talked through like how different platforms have different feels, right? So what you would put on LinkedIn, you might not work on Threads or on TikTok or Instagram. So like figuring out how to know your voice and your audience across all the different platforms is really important. So my honest take is that I really enjoyed coming to the conference. I'm so glad I put myself out there and I wasn't, I'm naturally kind of a shy person, but I'm so glad that I like put myself out there and actually came to this conference by myself, not knowing anyone who would be here, and just like took a moment to pursue my dream of becoming a full-time travel creator. Like whenever that day comes, it comes, and I will be forever grateful for any and all opportunities I got towards achieving that goal. And I really feel like this is one step towards me getting there. This was a great opportunity for me to be able to network one-on-one with tourism boards and brands that I want to work with, whether it's an unpaid trip or just an affiliate link. It's okay, because it's just getting me closer to having more experience under my belt and eventually getting on a path to monetization that would enable me to leave corporate America. So I definitely think I will come back next year. They're running a flash sale right now. I'm definitely gonna go ahead and get my ticket. Right now on the flash sale, the cost of the ticket is only $249. And after the flash sale, which ends on June 5th, it's gonna go up to the regular price of $449. So I 100% think it's worth it to just go ahead and get the ticket now. And I definitely will be here for the conference next year. It's actually gonna be in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They announced it today. I haven't been to Ann Arbor. I definitely wanna go to Detroit, Michigan. So I need to figure all that out. But I definitely plan on coming to WITS next year. I am also going to TBEX next month. So I'm going to follow up this video with a similar recap of everything that I learned from TBEX. And then I'll probably do a comparison video to see, like, of the two conferences that I've gone to, which one would I recommend, because these conferences are very expensive. So I'll definitely be following up with more on that probably in July. So if you're a travel creator and you've been on the fence about attending a travel conference, I hope that this video has been helpful. I definitely think that it's worth it if you want to work in the tourism and travel space to come to events like this so you can start networking with destinations and brands. I truly think that this has been a great opportunity for me to make some connections, as well as for me to learn from a lot of people that I look up to, and also just keep me motivated to stay on this path of pursuing my dream. If you have any questions about WITS or travel conferences in general, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.